Hello everyone, how are you guys? Me and my mom just finished watching Walking Dead City Season 1 finale. Action-packed. A lot happened in the episode. The Season 1 finale ended with a cliffhanger for Season 2. Starts off with Negan, Maggie, and the Marshal arriving where the flare gun came from. Jenny's there. She runs over, hugs Negan. Negan is all shocked that she's in New York. She's supposed to be in New Hilltop. So he's upset with her disobeying his orders and being here where it's not safe. Like he said, you gotta leave. You can't be here. Why the hell are you here? She's hugging him and all that. And he pushes her away. He says, you can't be here. Croton and New Savers find you. They're going to use leverage to get me. You can't be here. And she starts to finally speak for the first time in months. Negan's like, no, now is not time for a chat. You gotta go. You gotta get out here. And she refuses to go. So, Negan tells her that, remember I told you I killed 5 people that attacked my wife and left her for dead? And she nods her head yes. Well, one of the 5 people I killed was your father. And she, walks backwards and she, doesn't believe him. And he says, I saved you from a group of people that was abusing you and that. Beating you, stuff like that. I'm using it as walker bait. He said, I saved you, but you've been paying my ass ever since. I am done with you. Get the hell out of my sight. And Jenny takes off running because she's crying. And the Marshal looks at Negan and is like, I'll get her out of New York City. I'll get her back to the mainland and back to this New Hilltop, man. You have my word. And Negan appreciates the Marshal's help and says, remember the deal we made. You tell your people that I'm dead, so they'll stop trying to find me for what he did to those 5 people that attacked his wife. And the Marshal now knows why Negan did it. Because his last episode they were talking, and everybody just knows that Negan killed 5 people. Now they know why, because they attacked his wife during a supply run, beat her up and left her for dead, and Negan saved her after he found her. And he tells the Marshal, by the way, if I find out your brother is alive, John, I'll tell him that you're looking for him and want to know what became of him. And the Marshal appreciates that. And that starts the Season 1 finale into 2 journeys. Negan Maggie's, Jenny and Marshall's. Jenny and Marshall's journey is short, really. They get out of New York City. They're in the mainland. They're driving down roads, abandoned towns. They come across walkers. And they eventually make their way to New Hilltop. Jenny gets out of the car, doesn't even say thank you to the Marshal whatsoever. Runs through the gates of Hilltop, hugs the Oceanside leader, and she thanks the Marshal that she invites him in. And he tells her, I gotta go to my people and tell them what's up. And it shows the Marshal arrive at this town. There's people there, not a whole lot of people, just a few select few. And there's this woman smoking a cigar, and I guess she's the leader of the town, of this group of people. And she asks them, hey, first off, where's so-and-so, the other 2 Marshals that are with you? Try to track down Negan and say complications arose. We found him in New York City. Walkers attacked, he died. I'm the only one who made it out. I found Negan, got into a fight, I had to kill him. So she's like, too bad, I want him alive, I want him here for payback for what he did to my people. And then she says, so anything else you found out about New York City we should know about this? It's just overrun lots of walkers, and that's about it, really. She says, there isn't nobody there that is taking walkers, putting them in water, filling them up. These had glass tubes and stuff like that, fill full of water, and they get high off the fumes, and then also use the fumes as a means of diesel, like methane, and he's taken back that his leader knows that in New York City that Croton and his new saviors are doing that experiment with walkers. So he knows that he's deep shit now because he basically just lied to her about nobody being alive in New York City, just walkers. So he probably knows that she knows Negan's still alive somehow. And that's how his journey ends the Season 1 finale. It shows him all shocked that she knows. And the other Marshals are surrounding him. So I think he's going to become a prisoner or something in Season 2 and probably has to escape or get rescued. Then it shows Maggie and Negan's journey for Season 1 finale of The Walking Dead Dead City. And Maggie and Negan are watching Croton, the new Savior's headquarters, basically the building that they live in. And they realize the best way to get Croton is by himself. Trade him for Herschel. And they're talking, and Maggie's like, I get why you lied to Jenny. You care about her a lot. I get why you lied to her to get her out of the city. And that Negan's looking at her differently, right? I noticed that. And she's not cluing in. And then they see Croton get into a vehicle and leave by himself. So they get on the rooftop of the building they're hiding out in, and they follow the vehicle by going from one rooftop to the other, going down fire escapes, alleyways, avoiding walkers. And they find the vehicle parked, and it's deserted. So they know Croton's nearby. So they search this abandoned warehouse. As they're searching it, Negan out of nowhere just smokes Maggie. Throws her against the wall, and he takes off. He's taken off. Maggie runs after him. They get into a fight amongst walkers. Maggie pulls out a knife, stabs Negan. Negan fights back, gets the knife away from her, and goes to stab her, but stops and drops it. And he says, I know that you brought me here to trade me for Herschel, so I become Croton's basic torture experiment. And she's like, how the hell do you know, right, that I made a deal with him when he attacked Hilltop and took my son? He says, Jenny told me. Maggie says, she didn't say nothing. He says, she doesn't have to. Apparently, him and Jenny had a feeling that if one of them knows something, that the other one's in trouble. That's what the third gun's about. And the way she was acting, he said, I knew something was up. By the way, I knew from the get-go I was going to get basically traded for your son. He says, what do you mean? He says, for starters, I kept asking you, like, where's Carol? Where's Ezekiel? Where's Eugene? Where's Daryl? Like Michonne, a bunch of people, Aaron and that. And you just say that it had to be us. Just us. And I knew that if your son being kidnapped and taken here, you'd bring the whole damn army, he said. You'd bring them all to New York City to get your son back. So I knew from the get-go you were lying to me, because of your love for your son, you would not just risk it with just me. So I knew, once you mentioned Croton, that, okay, he's made a deal with you. I ain't stupid. So Maggie confesses that, yes, the deal was, I bring you to New York City, I present you to Croton alive, in return, I get my son back. When we went to that building, however, she said, I did not expect an ambush. She says that I did not know about. Then we hear the whistling of the Saviors, that Negan is doing the whistling. And Croton comes through a door in the warehouse of a bunch of new Saviors. They surround Negan and Maggie. They dispose of the walkers that's nearby. And Croton says, thank you for bringing him back to me. And then they take him prisoner, and they take him to the movie theater, where this old lady's out with a group of people. And Croton says, I can't wait for you to meet Dama. So her name is Dama. And they come for this room, and Herschel's there. Maggie runs over, hugs her son, but I noticed that Herschel isn't so happy to see her, right? They leave. And Negan says to Herschel, I'm glad you're safe. And he looks at Maggie, I'm actually glad you got what you wanted. And I'm never going to forgive you for what you did to me. And Maggie and Herschel leave. And they shows them, get out of New York City. They arrive back to New Hilltop. Negan asks Maggie to look after Jenny no matter what. And she promised she will look after Jenny. And shows her checking in on Jenny, who's asleep. Then she is talking to Herschel. Herschel tells Maggie straight up that he's sick and tired of her trying to train him to fight. He doesn't want to fight. He wants to stay at New Hilltop, work the crops out. He doesn't want to go out on supply runs. Look what happened last time. Almost died. He said there was a barn run. Also, he said, I'm sick and tired of you beef with Negan. And she's like, beef with Negan? He killed Glenn, your dad. He says, look, I never met Glenn. Never met my dad. I wasn't born yet when he died. He said, that was years ago, Mom. You got to get over it, he said. I understand from Negan's point of view that he did that to put fear into your group with Rick. he said, you gotta let bygones be bygones. You told me how he's changed man, how he rescued Rick's daughter Judith, protected her for years, how him and Daryl became friends, stuff like that. He said, then to basically betray his trust and that, he said, and offer him up as basically like a silver platter for me in return. He said, I don't like that. He said, the story you told me about my dad, Glenn, he would never leave a man behind. He would never betray someone, no matter what they've done in the past. And if a man's changed and became good, you help that man out. So Maggie's kind of shocked that Herschel is basically talking back to her. And he storms out of the room, and she goes through his stuff and finds these drawings. And it's drawings of Dharma, drawings of the theater, drawings of New York City. And she's wondering why he's drawing this stuff, right? And season 1 finale ends with the two cliffhangers. Negan is taken to where the old lady's at in the movie theater with Croton, and he introduces her to him, and he starts talking about how he can't wait to torture Negan for what he did to him, for taking him out of Sanctuary and trying to kill him in that years ago. He said, I got ways to torture you, you can't even imagine, he said. And he starts telling about this torture stories he did to people, and Negan's like disgusted. And then she tells Croton to leave. So Croton leaves. And Negan's like, is he the boss or you the boss? And she says, I'm the boss. He follows my lead. And Negan says, what are you going to do to me? She says, well, first off, he ain't going to torture you. I promise you he would never lay a hand on you if you do what I ask you to do. And Negan says, what's that? She said, I have heard stories about you. When you led these group of saviors, you were a badass person. How you went to places like the Kingdom, Alexandria, the Hilltop, and put fear into those people. Fear into those settlements to get supplies. To get a working partnership with them by putting fear into them. She says, New York City is a big-ass place, she said. Have you seen Brooklyn yet? Have you seen Harlem yet? She said, that group you found of kids growing up to be adults, none of that the only group around here, she said. There's other groups of survivors that we have issue with, not just them. She said, so I want you to help us get them under our thumb, under our fingers. And Negan said, what do you mean? She says, I want you to become the old Negan. I'm like, me and mother go, oh boy. And Negan's like, you don't want me to become the old me. I love the way he just said that. I loved it. And my mom said the same way. This the way he said it, the way he worded it, that was awesome. Like, you don't want me to be the old me. And she said, yes, I do. Because A, one, you'll stay alive, you won't get tortured. B, Herschel won't come back. And he's like, you leave that kid alone. He's been through a lot. And she said, if you do what I ask, she said, I'll leave you, I'll leave Herschel, I'll leave Maggie, I'll leave all your friends, like Carol, Daryl. Like, she knows these people, like their names, Eugene and that. She said, I'll keep them safe. We won't bother them. And once you help us take over New York City, it's 100% under our control, and the groups of survivors that are against us are working under our leadership and are afraid of us, then we're going to go to the mainland. We'll go to Alexandria. We'll go to the Commonwealth, the Kingdom, the New Hilltop, other new places, she said. And we want to be in control of all these places. So basically what she's saying is she wants the new Saviors yet to take over. And Negan says, I know if I don't, they basically going to get me, Croton's going to torture me, and you'll go back and go after Maggie and Herschel and that. And she gives him a box, and he opens it, and there's a thumb. Not a thumb, sorry, a toe. And Negan's like, whose toe is this? It's Herschel's. And the cliffhanger of that goes to Herschel in his room, taking his sock off, and his toe's gone. First off, why the hell did she take his toe and just kept it as a souvenir? And I cannot wait for season 2 to see if Negan went along with what she's offering and going back to his old ways and to get people under, their leadership, and instead of fighting against them, to be working for them in exchange for their safety and that. If Negan does go back to being the old Negan again, can he actually go back to being the old Negan and actually be able to go back to being the good Negan again, or will he stay bad again? What's Maggie going to do when she finds out that Ward cut off Hershel's toe, and why? And she also said that Hershel and her have a friendship going on in that. What's Maggie going to do? Find out that Hershel and her talked and all this, and he told her everything about Maggie and a group of people and that. Will Maggie also feel sorry for betraying Negan's trust after all these years and go back to New York to save him? I'm thinking maybe that's what happened. She'll go back to New York to save him, then find him being the old Negan for his own safety, right? Because think about it. Honestly, folks, if he doesn't do what she says, A, he's going to get tortured, and B, she's going to go after the people who he considers his friends now, like Carol, Daryl, Ezekiel, and all of them. So he's doing it for their safety and his own, but Maggie's not going to know that, right? I think that's how season 2 is going to be like. She's going to go back to New York to save Negan, because of what Hershel said, and find him being the old Negan and not knowing why, first off. And also, what's going to happen to Marshall now that his boss, his leader, knows he lied to her? And how does she know about what Croton and the New Saviors are doing with the Walkers and that? Unless they got a partnership going on. There you have it, folks. Stay safe, everybody. Too sweet. Bye.